Welcome to Season 2 of Path of the Brush, powered by Ultra Pro. Let's sling some paint. That's super cool. Hey, everybody, welcome to Path of the Brush. I'm your host, Rick, here on Gen Con TV. Big shout out to Gen Con TV for allowing us to do this every week here Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern until about 8:45. It's going to be a lot of fun. And today we don't have a guest, or it's just going to be us again, but it's going to be a lot of fun in that we're on a location. Right. So we're not at the studio. As you can tell from behind me, you can see that I'm in a hotel room, and it's going to be probably a little choppy, it seems, because, um, the internet may not be great here. It looks like it shows it a little slow. But anyways, I'm at the Alliance Open House in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is a trade show for the board game industry. Yeah, I know, hotel Wi-Fi, but we're gonna try to press through it and do it. Um, so yeah, we're at the Hilton here at the Grand Wayne Center Convention Center for the Alliance Open House, which is a trade show where Alliance Game Distributors, which is one of the larger distributors of games to your friendly local game stores, and we are going to be doing it's like a trade show where the publishers come they have they do like a lot of workshops and show off their product to the retailers that show up, and then they might have some show deals where you might get something at a little bit of a better cost for the retailers if they order an X amount of product from any given publisher, which is kind of cool. And I'm actually down here as a retailer because Hoplite Games opens next Friday, grand opening in Lansing, and that's me and my buds and friends game store that we're opening up, and we're really excited about it. So it's going to be super cool. But we will have Will and Mark jumping in as well. Hey, Will. Hey, Mark. How are you guys doing? They're probably going to be like smooth in regards to their broadcast.
How you guys doing?
So yeah, these guys. What's up, guys? Uh, so we're painting WizKids miniatures today, giving WizKids some love as they are one of the vendors here at the Alliance Open House. I'm going to be painting a wyvern or two, possibly, and it's not going to be your typical wyvern. You know, most wyverns are like the brown. They kind of look like multi-toned brown creatures, right? But this one I'm going to do is going to be green, because I always feel like if a wyvern's in an environment, it's going to be the alpha predator of that space, and it's going to use all of the camouflage it could potentially have to make itself a better predator. So if it's in a forest, it's going to have greens and hide in the canopy and drop down on you and just wreck your day. Or if it's in a mountain, it's going to be gray and stone like, have different tones of what the rocky formations look like. So it could like cling to the side of a cliff and it would just kind of blend in and then again drop off the cliff as adventurers wander by. In this desert, it'd be more like sandy or sandstone colors, so those light browns and stuff. So that I think it's kind of cool. And so gonna get to work on this one. I'm gonna start off with this. It's called Charming Chartreuse. I'm gonna give it a look because I also feel like the wings and core body like of the wyvern should be darker, and the underbelly of the wings should be a lighter green because it's um it it just should be. So when it opens up, it presents itself, right? And it's like, I am here, and now you can see me, and I'm going to just wreck you. I'm going to stick you with my poisonous tail, and just eat all your horses and then fly away. So we're going to use this Charming Tartuse and kind of see what that looks like as a green. And this is again from our sponsors over there at the Army Painter, aka TAP. That's what I like to call them. So this actually looks kind of dark. Whoops, look at there. Always a whoops. I almost feel like That is darker than a darker green than what I have as my alternate greens. So I'm going to actually put this on the over top of the wings. That would be like if it wrapped itself to make it look like a bush, maybe pull some stuff in, it would blend in with its surroundings. So yeah, it's super cool. What are you guys working on, Mark and Will, back in Lansing, Michigan?
All right, Will, what do you got?
I've got a
Oh,
Maryland.
good God.
One of them iron sweet ladies. Very
Oh yeah, the Maryland is great.
yeah. Very collie.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm going troll.
Yeah. And you're doing a troll?
Yeah, just a good old troll. Maybe he's coming out of a swamp. Who knows?
Yeah, very cool.
It's nice
Yeah,
that
so
these guys are
one of the
timed
things
right.
yeah, what's that? He's primed, right?
Yeah, they're all
What'd you
pre-primed,
say?
which is pretty great. All pre-primed, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
that's one of the great things about WizKids is Nolzor's Marvelous Miniature line is they come, if they're part of the unpainted version of them, they come pre-primed, so they're ready to paint right out the package. You don't have to do the priming step, um, which is fun because then you you know, get the paint on quicker, get your miniature on the table faster, and you're terrorizing your players, you know, so much faster than you probably would if you had to go through the step of priming and all that other stuff, which is fine. I like doing that step. But for someone that wants to get let's say we played this past week and I want to make sure I have wyverns or a troll or a Marilith in my upcoming scenarios for the next week. Yeah, maybe I don't want to use that step of priming and I want to use speed paints because speed paints are cheating in a bottle, right? So, yeah,
The liquid player.
yep, it's so good. All right. So yeah, I actually like that green on the top of the wing as opposed to the under part of the wing. So I'm going to take a little bit of a beige and kind of repaint over that after it dries so that I don't have that weird like different tone under there. With the other
I like
green,
those
I'm going to
color
use
choices.
the bright green. The what?
I like those color choices. Yeah, I was like, if I were to paint a wyvern, I was struggling with that. Like, would you go for camouflage, or if it's such a top of the apex predator chain, it doesn't care if you see it?
Right. I feel like, wyverns are super deadly. They are apex predator, and you're right. They probably, as a species, don't care. But I feel like if they've been in a certain environment long enough, they may just, evolutionarily adapt to that environment. Not like a chameleon. It's just like, yep, these are forest wyverns that have been living in this ancient forest for millennia, and in that time frame, they've gone from looking like a typical wyvern to blending in with their environment, which make them even deadlier. So they would have maybe a new stat block that says, camouflage, um, uh, advantage on surprise, right? Something like that.
Stealth. Plus on stealth, right?
And yeah, well, yeah, on stealth or uh, people, if they're in the area, they roll at a disadvantage when doing a perception check,
Oh,
right?
okay. Yeah.
Looking for hazards. Oh, go ahead and roll, but you're rolling at disadvantage. What? Why? Well, there might be environmental things in the area that are hindering your ability to perceive threats in this surrounding.
You might trip on a
And people
roof.
be
It's
like,
definitely not a
"Ooh,
wyvern.
right." It's definitely not wyvern attacks and sticks you right in the throat with its poisonous tail. I feel like if you
Now,
got
aren't
stuck in the throat
now
by the wyvern's tail, you'd be dead.
aren't wyverns not
What's
intelligent
that?
like lions? I thought the wyverns were like they're more bestial, right?
Oh yeah, they're very much of a animal level, like a animal level intelligence. So it's for them. It's not malice. It's gonna be, oh, you're a food source, or you have a food source with you. I'm gonna, because they'll probably like come down because to get your horse. Like if you have horses, or if you're in a caravan, they'll probably come down, grab a horse, defend themselves as they're trying to get away with the horse, and just go away. Then get their food source and get. They're going to do that to survive. They're not going to sit there and be like, I'm going to fight to the death, because that's how video games work.
That's true. Maybe if you're messing with their territory, you're in their lair or something like that, or that. Then they might be messing with their babes, their
Yeah,
little
like
babes.
yeah, it's just like a wyvern rook, or where their eggs are stored nearby. They might be a little bit more aggressive and defensive because they may view the characters as a threat to that. But if they're just out hunting for food, or positioning themselves to pounce on potential food sources, they're not. I feel like they're not going to sit there and be like, "Yes, I must fight. Oh, I'm at X hit points. Oh, I'm going to just stay here and continue to defend nothing because I just wanted that horse, or that small donkey that is a pack mule or something, right? Or just the wizard, because the wizard is the the lame uh the lame duck of the crew, or is perceived as such. It's like, oh, that one has a limp. That's the one I'm gonna, like any predator would do. What is the soft target in a group, and I'm gonna get it and eat it.
Right? He spent too many hours reading his
So
books. Right? He's been in the library too often, reading his tomes.
yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
is getting eaten by a wyvern the nerd tax? Is that how that works?
Oh man, ooh, that would be funny. It's like, yep, you haven't really played in one of my games until one of your characters has been eaten by a wyvern. Because I love wyverns. I have at the studio, I have probably 4, 5 that are already painted in this like camouflage scenario for different environments. Like I have a desert wyvern painted up. I have another forest wyvern, and I have a rock wyvern, and I feel like I have one that hides in water too, or like murky swamp water. So there's a tint of like a murky blue to it, so it can like almost make itself look like a crocodile because of the way its head's shaped, right?
Ooh.
And then it'll just burst up out of the water and be like, "No, I'm a wyvern! Stick, stick, stick!"
Were those bubbles we saw? No, it's probably nothing. Then, yeah.
No,
What was it?
that was a. Hey, where's Jake? Where's Where's Jacob the Wizard? I don't know. It's like, no, Jacob. He was taken by a wyvern.
Yeah, just waiting for that.
And then what happens is, the people, caravans start complaining that there's a wyvern infestation, and then the adventurers get hired to go out and take care of it. And the wyverns are like, no, we just want to eat. Maybe we are now overpopulating because you guys have been bringing us enough food, but we don't want to stick around and fight. It's just the worst. So it would be like a big game hunting trip.
I don't know if I'd want to get into a
That's how I would.
campaign about wyverns, knowing how much you love them now. I know who you're rooting for.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely gonna root for the wyvern. The wyvern. My favorite like creatures for D&D are, I like were rats. Even though in real life I cannot stand rats, they freak me out. Um, I like gnolls. Gnolls as a race are just super awesome as a adversarial race, and wyverns.
That deviousness that
Because you
gnolls
can put a
have gives you a lot to play with as a DM.
Oh, Yes. Yes. I mean, they literally are. They also kind of, though they're intelligent, they kind of play on the same vibe of, yeah, we just want to kill everything, but also everything is food. If you're not a knoll, you're food, right? You're meat for the pack. So they they kind of have that same mentality as a wyvern do, but they just happen to have a higher intelligence. So I find that would be kind of scary. I also like kobold and rust monsters teamed
I was
up.
just gonna say I was mixing up my gnolls and my kobolds because kobolds are devious as heck.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Um, I in some of my campaigns past, and I probably would still use it, is if you find yourself in a kobold lair, like a really heavily populated one, there's gonna be kobolds that ride rust monsters into battle.
That's dirty. I love it.
It's dirty. They're just using like wooden spears, right? But they ride these dang rust monsters, and they run into the fray, not so much to do damage to the warrior or to the party, but they target humans who have metal, and metal make humans hard. We want to make you soft stick. Right? So run in. The rust monsters destroy their armor, making them soft and pliable, and then they use their wooden spears and stone weapons to cut down the party. It's something you throw against like first through third level characters. You're not gonna,
That's
you know, throw them at like fifth level characters or something like that. So, but I feel like that's a pretty scary vision, right? If you're a low level party going into like one of your first cavernous explorations, you're like, what's that yipping sound? Oh, it's a bunch of kobolds. Oh, they're easy prey. And then they friggin' charge you. They open up their ranks, and four kobolds riding rust monsters come charging at you. It's like, yeah, you're done.
Rick, when you start a campaign, what level do you like to start? I think we talked about this in one of the last seasons. What level do you like starting? Do you like starting
Yeah.
really from one and like really, having that arc of your characters, or do you, what you say you do one shot sometimes? What's your favorite level to start at?
All right. So if I'm going to run like a phone campaign where the characters are going to be meeting up on a regular basis over a long period of time, I want to start them at level 1. Right? So they have like throwback content to their development,
Yeah.
deeper than just what they write up in their backstory. So by the time they get to that third level, when they can pick their path, basically. But if it's a one shot and it's just one little story, one little 4-hour event, either fifth or seventh level, my preferred level, or those kind of things, because you're strong enough to do some fun stuff at fifth level, and then at seventh level, you're just now kind of creeping into that, in my opinion, superhero status, right? Because that's what D&D characters become, like, especially at ninth level. You're a superhero.
Yeah, that's fair. For sure.
Now I haven't played D&D since 3.5, so I'm not sure what the level, like how the levels have changed that much. I think 3.5 it was like level 8 that started to really feel like you had that kind of juice.
Yep. And same with this at level 8, you're gonna start to feel it as well. Level 9 is just like the sweet spot at that CR rating, I guess you could put it, right? Um, and it makes it for the DM, it makes it hard because a lot of characters at ninth level can just wreck as a group if they, communicate well. They can wreck a lot of things really easy and fast, and especially if they're like min maxers, or you know, they can have some one shot kills on some pretty devious monsters. So you have to be a little bit more devious in your traps and your character selections. And one of the things that I also try to do is I try to throw something into a one shot that isn't a typical creature that you could find in the monster manual or expansion. I'll create probably like a homebrew creature or NPC that is gonna have big rules, but just balance them so that the party is gonna feel like, oh, we could die, or if we make a wrong step in this encounter or this combat scenario. But again, if they communicate well, they should do well and then get rewarded as such. But I don't like it when but it happens. It's okay. And you spend hours developing a really cool scenario, and the party rolls in and just like, I do this, 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 and this, and it's like, you killed my bad guy, and he didn't even get to go into his monologue and tell you his devious plan for the region.
I have a heck of a story of a scenario that happened like that. One of my buddies he'd been trying for like 2 weeks to get, I think we were all like level 12. So he had been trying and building this really devious trap to put all the characters in and really put them in trouble. And he got the 4 of us to fall into a pit full of smoke, and inside of it was 3 half giant monks. And so all of the party was gone, and they were stuck with half giant monks that were experts at disarming too. So the warrior was in trouble. And our wizard just learned polymorph, and he turned the fighter into a hydra, which no longer needed to see because they see heat vision, and just ate all the giants in one turn.
That is a bummer.
Jesus.
I
mean, it's cool, and I'm guessing the wizard was super proud of themselves, right?
Oh yeah,
and
he had about it.
So, yeah. So that's cool. It just kind of sucks when you're like, oh, this is going to be a really fun combat scenario, and the fighter's going to be pressed, and the other characters are going to have to step up because your tank is going to be disarmed almost every round because all 3 of these monks are tactical and such. And then they're just like, nom nom nom, you're just food for the hydra beast. And can you imagine that fighter after doing that as a hydra polymorphing back to his normal self and then having burps that taste like giants? Ugh. It's like, this is the worst. Yeah. I'm gonna while some of this dries real quick. So for everybody watching, so we're laying down the base coats. I'm making a hydra, or I'm just talking about hydra, a wyvern that is going to be green as its primary colors, because it's a forest hydra that likes to hide in the tree canopies and drop on its unseen prey, but not that they're blind, but they're prey that might be unawares of the threat above them. But I'm going to go ahead and share this real quick on some socials so we can get some more folks over here to be like, what are these cats doing? So
kind of as you're sharing there, that's a good example of when the party takes over, right? They either don't follow your hook or something like that. There was one, it was some werewolves were running around, and we were supposed to follow someone to a cabin. And then next thing you know, like the wolf pack, all come out. So there's 50 wolves. And, I think it was 4 adventurers that were left. And someone let a special item in and let they had a djinn, so they had like a special ring that allowed a djinn come in, and basically had some elementals come in, like a big, wind elemental that like whipped everybody up, and it was gone. Like what should have been like a 2-hour kind of fight was done in, I don't know, like 20 minutes. And it was like, well, what are we gonna do the rest of the night? That's the only thing this guy had planned. We ended up doing some other like side quest or whatever, but it was like, maybe don't allow the djinn. It's such a low level item, or like that ring to allow the djinn. It was very short lived.
Yeah, the rest of the game could be negotiating with that genie.
Right.
Like, oh, so what do we
Right.
owe you?
Subterfuge.
Right. All right. So I posted it up on the Painting Happy Little Minis group and on my personal Facebook. See if that brings any, if those milkshakes bring any boys to the yard
Any painters to the yard,
to
yeah.
follow the path of the brush. Yeah. Um, so yeah, the opening video that you did there, Mark, for the show is awesome. I was talking to the folks from um, Ultra Pro,
Oh yeah.
and they really liked that shout out. Yeah, they thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And I've always thought what would be kind of cool is maybe not the way I say it in that video, but in at the end credits someday, if we ever come up with like an end credit roll or something, that would be like rolls in a deeper voice, like powered by Ultra Pro or miniatures Path of the Brush protected by Ultra Pro.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That'd be kind of cool.
I love it. Little flame explosion,
Yeah.
something fun. Yeah. That's what's
Yeah,
fun.
you can't go wrong with an explosion.
Exactly. 18 style
Or as Bane.
flipping over.
Yeah,
Right,
there's got to be have a van or a Humvee flipping in an explosion, or as Bane from the Harley Quinn animated series would say, explosions. I want more explosions.
That's exactly how he'd say it.
He's one of my favorite characters in that animated series. So he's so funny. They've and they make fun of him, because he's like a big dumb animal the way they've written him, but he has a heart of gold. But if you wrong him, he wants to explosion you and kill you. I will break you. It's so funny.
And when Bane first came out, I mean, that was like broke Batman's back. Like that comic came out, that was nuts. I
Yeah.
still have that floating around. It was
I-
like, really, this you could break Batman's back?
Right. And it's kind of funny when you think about what that character is. He's a luchador wrestler who becomes a crime lord, peddling venom, which enhances the physical attributes and aggressiveness of its users. And he's a super doser with his tanks and hoses that are all
Right.
pushing, mainlining the venom right into his system. It's like, God, are you seeing a doctor regularly to get your liver function tests done? Because that can't be good for you.
My liver explosions.
My liver explosions. It just blows things up. I take a lot of vitamin B12 and B2, so it helps maintain good liver functions.
It's important,
What? Yeah,
How are things coming along? As we're
so funny.
30 minutes in, how are we looking?
Yeah, so I've got the majority of the back of this one's the darker base kind of going. There's obviously some spots where I got to touch up because I don't. I think I have a bigger brush. I might should be using that one. If I were sitting there with like some of my other painting friends, they would have been like, "You should be using a bigger brush, Rick. If you're just covering that big open space." So
You got to
yeah,
karate kid that
they
thing.
would be
Paint the
right.
fence.
That's right. The senseis out there need to be making their presence known. Be like, yes, you need a bigger brush, Rick. Man, I love the way that this sculpt is done. When you look at him, right? He's got the the reptilian wings and everything, and then he's got like this. He could be mistaken as a dragon head, so you could even play on that in regards to like how he might present itself. Where someone's like, "Ooh, that looks like a young dragon. We don't want to fight that." And then it has like this whole cobra puffiness in its throat, and it expands out to give it like that cobra thing going on, and that's also kind of cool too. There's so much about the I guess it would be the entomology of this creature
That's like the
that is
insect.
just like, yeah, they took a lot of, yeah, yeah, and yeah, entomology is the study of insects. Yeah. Um.
What is that one?
This
So
conversation's bugging me.
is it?
Ah!
Is it? Is it etymology? Yeah, it's bugging me. This conversation. I can't figure out what I need to know. But it's different physical attributes that they're giving it. All of them are very much like different. Like there's like three different potential reptilian-like creatures that can be presented with this. The snake-like portion, the dragon-like portions, and like I said, like a crocodile vibe as well, which is all, it's just super cool stuff. And I
Crocodilian?
will say
Is that?
this because there's,
Yep.
yeah, a crocodilian. That sounds like a right word,
Yeah.
I was
but
like, well,
like all words, they're just made up.
there you go.
You know,
So do you have a favorite wyvern miniature?
this not just because we're painting WizKids, but there are multiple different wyvern sculpts out there, sure, but this one has always been my favorite. As soon as it came on the market, I was just like, ooh, that's it. That's that I like that. Just like their when they first came out with the Beholder miniature under the Nolzur's line, that was like everybody went crazy over that miniature. You could barely find it at for a long time because it would sell out, and then people were like selling them for 3 to 4 times as much on eBay and other platforms because they were hard to get for a while until they came out with a reissue. You know,
These guys?
so yeah, which one? You have one
I
there
got
at your
yeah,
house?
Echo Beholder, and then yeah, you couldn't find them at all. I kept
Yep.
them in the pack. And then Zombie Beholder, and then now you can find them everywhere. So kids, go grab your Beholders.
Hmm.
But for this one, someone paid $25 for, which is ridiculous.
You paid $25 for it?
Nah, my buddy did.
Okay.
Matt
Yeah, because it was
McNeil.
hard to find.
Yeah,
It was hard
That's
to
a real
find,
goal.
so that makes sense.
yeah. Now I can't open it. It's always got to be
That's
like, "What's that, Dad? What's that thing?" Like, don't
paint.
touch. Don't even look at it.
What's up? What's up, Muncho Blog? We will paint like the wind. Absolutely. All
We'll have
right,
to.
I'm going to take a little bit of this brain matter beige to kind of fix the underwing part that I painted as a test and realized it was too dark. So
I've been using the
gonna
wrong beige
just,
this whole time with a name like that.
I like the orange belly you got
yeah,
going
brain
there.
matter beige it's the best.
Is that a yellow belly?
It's a bronze.
Oh,
Actually.
okay,
It's a
bronze.
nice bronze.
Yeah,
Oh, on your Merilith?
Yes.
Nice. So for anybody that's just jumping in, we are painting WizKids miniatures here today on Path of the Brush. Uh, our the two gentlemen uh, that are sitting there together are the back end producers for the show. As we don't have a guest this week, because I am at the Alliance Open House in Fort Wayne, Indiana, in my hotel room, um, which is super fun to come here and participate as a new retailer at an event. I normally would be here either repping a paint company like I did last year, or I'd be here doing like media content for the industry. But now it's as an actual retailer, which is going to be interesting with how I interact with the publishers this week. It'll be different kinds of conversations. So, and I'm looking forward to that. So, all right. So we put that brain matter beige in there, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but it kind of puts it back to a little to look more like the color of the primer. And now I'm going to put like a brown on the underbelly of the wyvern here, where the like that snake serpentine esque vibe is kind of playing off. We're gonna do. I think we're going to do this brownish decay. You can't go wrong with that name either. Brownish decay. And a big shout out to Army Painter as our exclusive paint sponsor for this season of Path of the Brush. We appreciate them. We love that they're willing to support not just Path of the Brush, but all the other weird things that we do, like the paint and takes at the different conventions that we run, that we go to. Um, our next one will be the Michigan GT, followed by New York Comic Con. Um, we'll be running a paint and take event all weekend at New York Comic Con for the first time ever. They've never had one before. So we're really looking forward to seeing how that kind of plays out. It should be super fun. Stressful, but fun. So this brownish decay almost has a metallic vibe to it. As I'm sitting here applying it, it kind of is giving a weird sheen to it, which is
Charlie
kind of
Sheen.
neat because again, it is, yeah, a very Charlie Sheen to it. On the Emilio Brestevez of the wyvern, the breastplates here.
Uh,
That's Charlie Sheen's brother, right? Emilio Estevez. Is that
Emilio.
right?
Yeah, that is correct. You ever see what is that? Men at Work? Have you ever seen that movie? They're trash men.
I saw that at the drive-in.
Yeah. Did you really?
Yeah, I was very young.
The best part,
Was that in the late
early '90s.
was that in the late 1900s, Will?
Something like that, yeah.
That's awesome.
Never touch another man's fries. Do you remember that? That was the best line of the movie.
Was that from that?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Nice. No, I really dig that that brownish decay as the undercarriage of the wyvern's like breastplates here and under its jaw.
Getting a close up of that undercarriage.
Yeah. What?
Oh yeah, it is kind of got
Super cool.
a bronzy look to it. Yeah,
It does. Yeah.
nice lighting.
I don't feel like I've actually used this color yet, and I am kind of digging it. I'm gonna have to remember that it has this effect, and I may use it as kind of a leathery bronze effect on future miniatures. It might require such a thing. Nice. Yeah, I am not upset with that at all. Cool. Not that I ever get upset about painting miniatures in any capacity, because I don't.
Just find it so
'Cause
relaxing.
It is a awesome. Yeah, it's super relaxing. A lot of people say, and what's funny is like a lot of things, and a lot of people do say this, that they actually get stressed out when they paint. And so I feel like there's two arenas on this one, arenas of thought. They either find it relaxing and enjoyable, or they find it stressful and not so enjoyable. So it makes me wonder, is like, why, what is it about painting that would be considered a stressful thing? You know,
I
and then
think
it
it's
makes me think about those. Go ahead.
I think it's all the
Go ahead,
choices.
Will. You
How
think
there's
someone that
how many choices in colors and whatnot that somebody's stuck with.
Okay, so if somebody can get that um, anxiety because there's so many options and choices in their palette potential, that could be stressful. I can see that. I can also see it being, you know, if someone feels that it has to be perfect,
Mm.
right? When they're painting, um, it, unless you're a professional painter that is trying to get into like a competition for like the Golden Demon or the Crystal Brush or the Worthy or any other painting competition, if you're not in those, you don't have to be perfect, right? Yeah, just have fun with it. Because I can't think of, especially if it's like you're new to painting. And I'll say this in every episode, probably. I think I've already said it in almost every episode. Is if you haven't painted in miniatures before, and you're stressed about the fact that your miniature isn't going to look perfect the first time you ever painted a miniature, the answer is you're right. It's not. It's not going to be great, and that's okay because I can't think of anybody that's ever done anything that the first time and they were the best or it was perfect. All right.
That's great advice.
But the other flip to that coin too is they may also feel like, well, I just spent like this wyvern right here. I think this wyvern is 11.99 or 14.99 or something like that, and they may think that I just spent 15 $15 on a miniature. I don't want to mess it up, right? So, and I totally get that. You don't want to mess up something you just spent, you know, minimum wage on, right? Because that's what a lot of people are living on is minimum wage, and that's just the fact of life, right? So if you're going to do an hours, take an hour of your pay potentially to buy a miniature to paint, yeah, I can see you want it to be looking good. But if you think about it, and this is why I always talked about tabletop ready, like right now the miniature and your miniatures are like what, 8 to 12 inches from your face, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, so you're gonna see every potential flaw in your paint job as you're doing it. But when you're playing with that miniature on the table, if you're um, playing in a game where you use miniatures and such, uh, it's at a minimum 3 feet away from you. And so at 3 feet, you're not going to notice that, it didn't blend perfectly between one color and another on a joint line in your miniature, right? Um, at that distance, it's going to blend perfectly at that distance, and it's going to look great. And your other players are going to be like ooh and on. And if you're the DM, they're going to be like, "Dang it, another wyvern! How many are in this forest?" And I'll have to say at least 6.
That forest is thick with wyverns. How would Elmer
Yes.
Fudd hunt wyverns?
Poorly.
Uh,
Poorly.
oh, um, I think he would say something along the lines that it's wyvern season, right?
That's fair. That's
And
fair.
then the the wyvern would say, "Stick, stick, stick in his face with the poison," and it'd get all puffy and swollen.
And there'd be a sad trombone. Maybe
Yeah,
a tuba.
wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah,
Who's the big
yeah.
hairy guy?
These
The
are.
red guy. He's in the castle or whatever. You know what I'm talking about, or the mansion thing. Um,
Yeah, the creepy red monster. Let me
yeah,
ask Tim.
I like that
Tim,
guy.
in Warner Brothers cartoons,
Looney
the
Tunes.
big furry monster, is it Clyde? He kind of has a parted hair and he kind of looks like cousin it, but
Gossamer.
okay.
His name's Gossamer.
Gossamer. Gossamer. Okay. What a great name for a creature like that. Gossamer. That's awesome. I wouldn't want to
I
mess
love,
with
I love
Gossamer because isn't he the one that's like, I will hug you and kiss you, and I will call you George?
yeah, the Mice and Men
And he,
reference, right? Yeah.
yep, yep. Tell me about the rabbits, George. It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim had asked if he was supposed to be a take on Lenny, and he is. In certain aspects, I don't think every iteration of him on screen has had him do that because sometimes I think he's silent. But when he does talk, I will hug you and kiss you, and I will call you George. Oh, George, you're being bad. And has him in his hand. He hits him in his head.
I don't know why they don't air this for kids anymore, right?
I know, right? So the bad thing, and we have to apologize for anybody that's just hanging out watching. I am broadcasting on my end remotely. We're not in the studio. We're not hardlined in. I'm at the Hilton Hotel in Fort Wayne, attached to the convention center here, and we're using the hotel Wi-Fi to connect to do the show. Uh, I'm betting that after it renders after the fact, it's going to be clean. But right now, if I move too much, um, it doesn't want to play nicely. So, but oddly, it looks like the overhead camera is doing great as
No,
far
yeah.
as like clear and everything.
And your voice is coming
So,
through perfect too. So
well, it's because I have a perfect voice.
And still modest.
It's the only thing about me that I can say is perfect. I have a perfect voice, a voice for spewing nerddom, because I am a nerd that loves his passion. Right? It's
it's
so
true.
fun. Yeah.
So I didn't realize you were in Fort Wayne. I haven't been there yet, but what have you found that's good to eat there in case I ever show up? I love good.
So you would have to ask the hard questions. What is good to eat here? Well, the sandwich that Tim brought me, I took a couple bites of it before we went live. It was really good. Where's that from? Oh, the restaurant downstairs, the hotel restaurant. Oh, nice. All right. So there's that. There's a steak shop place here that's kind of like a higher end steak shop, but I don't remember the name of it. It's been a couple years since I've eaten at it, but we did drive by it earlier when we were going to the warehouse. Um, it's kind of like a Morton Steakhouse level steak place, and I'm a fan of steak, so yeah, it's pretty good. But as far as like local cuisine, other than your normal fast food joints, I really don't know. Uh, there used to be a Champs right across from the convention center, but that's not here anymore. I don't know what's replaced it. Um, Not that, no offense to Champs, but the food was not great. So I apologize. I can't really answer that question very well.
I want to try out Texas barbecue at some point. That seems like it's an important choice to make.
Like in Fort
In
Wayne or
Texas or here in Fort Wayne?
Oh, in Texas in general, but
Texas style
Oh,
barbecue.
yes, of course. It is pretty good. I am a fan. All right. So I'm putting on, um, this is orc skin green. It is a much different shade of green than the top. So again, when you think about what it would look like in a canopy of trees, it's going to have that leaf, feel like it's a leaf, depending, a giant leaf, but it might, blend into the canopy a little better. And when it drops on the unawares uh, NPCs below or party members, they're gonna know that they're in the wrong place because you are in the hunting grounds of the mighty forest wyvern. And the other thing too is I don't know in the if anybody watching, I hope some of you are watching and want to chat with us because you guys have been kind of quiet tonight. But if someone could look it up and tell me what what they say about wyverns, are they solitary hunters or solitary creatures, and they only kind of like you know meet up with their counterparts for breeding over a certain cycle, or and if that's the case, then I would probably modify a certain type of wyvern to be a pack version, right? So that they hunt in like 3 to 5 wyverns in a pack. Could you imagine how freaking scary that would be? Oof. Almost like velociraptors, right? How
That can
they were
fly.
portrayed in that can fly. Yeah, can. Ooh, that's just scary if you think about it, right? You have one that kind of leads the party in a certain direction, and then the other wyverns, once the party is engaged with the other 2 or 3 or 4 just fall out of the forest tops or come bursting out of a sand dune or they come off the side of a cliff in a pack. I kind of feel like the pack ones would want to be more where there's more open space. So like the desert ones or a forest one would probably be more potential there for doing pack tactics, if you will. Because could you imagine adding that into a wyvern build? Yep, this particular type of wyvern has pack tactics, which already is, regardless of whatever creature it is, makes it a little more challenging. I would hate to just be like that, but now I'm going to write it up.
We're expecting
Like,
we're
yep,
expecting this game now.
yes, pack tactics.
Path of the Brush, D&D 5e, or even Pathfinder modules. Can you imagine? What would you call it?
Um, I mean, as far as like if we made modules of scenarios that we talk about in our maniacal rantings here on the show.
Nightmares of
Uh, yeah, nightmares of a maniacal painter. Um,
All right, that's a good name. That
that's
I mean,
actually
I'd probably call.
put you on the spot here.
I think so. I think as far as like, if I were to make a one shot or um, an encounter based around the concept of a wyvern infestation that is preventing goods and services from traveling through a trade route into a city. So it could just be a generic encounter, one shot that can be inserted to any campaign. I'd probably just call it something like, you know, um, it'd have to, I like alliteration. So it'd have to be um, wilds of the worrisome wyverns or something like that, or um, what's an aggressive attack term that starts with a W? Word that starts with a W. Um,
It's not an
so
attack term, but what if it was
something
the
that
waltz?
sounds.
The waltz of the wild. I couldn't get it out.
Oh yeah, so that would be kind of cool because maybe they do, yeah, like the waltz of the wilderness wyverns. And what does that mean? It's like when because they have pack tactics, maybe when they're surrounding their
Oh,
prey, the way they present their wings and themselves, it could to an outside looking in, they'd be like, wow, those wyverns are like in some sort of like dance thing, kind of like a cobra that might get
oh yeah.
hypnotized and starts doing that little side to side thing, right? So yeah, maybe the waltz of the wilderness wyverns
Quick, patent
could
that.
be a title of
I'm buying the URL right now.
trademark it.
We just want our cut. Just
We're
give
gonna
us
write
our
it up and
royalties.
put it on. That's
The
right.
only attack
We'll
I
write it
could
up,
think,
put it on Drive Through RPG.
the only attack word I could think of was whiplash. That's about all I got,
Whiplash.
and it doesn't quite fit. So
Hmm. No, I mean,
wild.
I mean, it could if yeah. It's tough, right? To come up with s- something like that on the fly.
Then who would be on the canopy
The sen-
floor of this? Maybe a troll. Like, look at this little guy. He's coming along.
well, well, what's kind of funny is if we were to do a scenario or a module based off of what the three miniatures that we're painting, right? So I'm painting Wyvern, Will is painting a Marilith, and you're painting a troll. Those could be three separate encounters in the same story arc,
Mhm.
right? So the adventurers are going to this forest, but before they get to the forest, they have to go through a swampy land area. And in that swampy land area, they encounter the troll. So that would be like their first combat encounter is a single troll, which can be a pretty good like test the waters fight, right? For any module, right? Then they go and they fight maybe two or three wyverns, and let's say in the story there's a particular wyvern that's a little bit bigger, has a scar or a tear in its wing or something that would identify it because of all the um, rumors and stuff that the townsfolk and the caravans or the portions of caravans that have made it through are bringing the information about these wyverns that are attacking the caravans, and they call him like Narroot or something like that. He's a gnarly old wyvern with a hole in one of his wings, and so you're fighting the leader of the wyvern pack or whatever, and that that the wyverns are using tactics that aren't normally associated with their breed and ilk, and then come to find out you fight two in another single encounter, which leads you to where the main wyvern nest is. Because let's say because if they're pack if they're using pack tactics, they're going to also nest together in a large nest. And you get there and you come to find out there's a cavern, and in that after you've defeated the wyverns, you find out that there's an ancient Marilith that is actually these wyverns have been raised and modified through the magics of the Marilith to become what they are. And then there's your final encounter is you're fighting Gnawroot, the wyvern, and the Marilith threat in this like ancient cavern where the Marilith has kind of like hidden itself away. So that would be, and that could be the module.
Well, that culmination is better than what I was thinking, because I thought like maybe after the reward for killing the wyverns, all the party got entered into an all-state hugging tournament, and the champion is a Maryland.
Is a Marilith. And you have to take on the Marilith in a hugging competition.
Hugging, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You can't beat a Marilith in that. That's just unfair. Yeah, but that's super funny too.
They may look scary, but they are top shelf cuddlers.
Well, what's funny is that would be that would be something that you could absolutely throw at your kids if your kids wanted to play in you had to use these same miniatures. You know, the wyverns aren't so deadly. They're just kind of like, you know, they just want to dance, and you have to like match them, move for move in the waltz of the wyvern. And if you do, then they will accept you as one of their own, and they won't. They'll basically adopt you into the wyvern nest, and then you get back, and everybody's cheering, and then you're back just in time for the town annual hugging competition, and Melody the Marilith has returned to defend her championship title, and you're like, ah, curses.
Can
I
you
mean, you
imagine the
could play
smack
it in any way.
talk?
If the smack talk of a hugging competition competitor,
Yeah.
it would be ridiculous. But now I'm trying to think how you would incorporate the troll, and let's say the troll just is kind of like uh, a bohemian type of
He's
character who
he's
just
a Rasta.
wanders
Look
through
at
the
him.
forest, and
Yeah,
he kind of
he's got
Rastafarian. He does look a Rastafarian in the way the sculpt is presented. You're right, and but he plays like a bongo drum, right? Boom, 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 boom. And he sets the rhythm for the wyverns dance, right? So when you show up, you're like, what the wyverns are dancing, and they're dancing to the rhythm of this drum. Is it that the problem? Nope. He just sets the rhythm. He's just here. It's like, hey man, we've just been here a little short time. Come by, and it's like, yeah, bro, do it. It's like that would actually be freaking cool. I would be like, yeah, I want to, I want to dance with wyverns.
Well, you
And
just
that's
want to
one of
be a
the
dog.
great things about. I do. Um, I think that's one of the great things about our hobby, besides painting, the games that we play. Every game, every board game, role playing game, the opportunity to be something that you just normally aren't exists in role playing. And every story doesn't have to be combat and stuff like that. It can be a little slapstick. It can be, a little um
tongue in cheek.
p tongue in cheek and PG, right? It doesn't have to, it
Yeah,
can be kid friendly. It doesn't have to be, slay the dragon, eliminate the were rat uh, nest that is growing beneath the city and stuff. Yeah, maybe it is growing beneath the city, but maybe that they're just like that's just their environment. They just want to live peacefully. It just happens that they don't have access to resources like crops and other things so they come up and steal it, you know,
right.
but
You
they're
don't got
not
to go back to
harming
having.
anybody.
Don't have to go back to the tavern and drink
Yeah,
a flag of ale. You could just, like, you could have some Kool-Aid or butter beers or whatever the
Yeah.
kids are drinking
chocolate.
nowadays,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, chocolate milk. How'd you get the chocolate? We went on an expedition to the jungles of Chult just to get cocoa seeds. What? These are from the jungles of Chult? They are. Oh my God, that's amazing. This drink is fantastic. Yeah, it is. But we had to deal with giant mosquitoes and river leeches
And Willy
to
Wonka
bring it
was down
back.
there
So you bet.
trying to get the chocolate. There's Oompa Loompas at foot.
Right. Right. There's all sorts of fun stuff you can throw in there to make it, so it doesn't have to always be a
Fantastic.
violent story.
Right.
Yeah.
Won a game of paper, rock, scissors against an owl bear. Now I'm part of their tribe.
Right. Yeah. So
Roast
I
my
throw
baby.
stuff like that. I throw stuff like that into some of my campaigns where it'll be you're coming across over a bridge, and in that when you get to the other side of this bridge, there is some goblins that have a trade wagon, and they're being stopped by you know a couple guards because you're once you get over the bridge, you're kind of like near a small town or something, and the guards don't want to let them go into the town to do trading, but they need to trade this stuff because that's how they survive. You go up there and you help them out, and it turns out that one of the goblins is the chieftain's daughter, and you escort her into the town. She trades the obvious junk, rusted stuff that they found in the woods or at battlefields and stuff that is just worthless, but they trade it for seeds or whatever they need for their goblin tribe or whatever. And then you escort her back to her tribe, and because you helped her, now one of the party members, that's basically a courting process in their tribe. So one of the party members has to marry the goblin princess, unknowingly that she was a goblin princess, and and if you don't want to marry her, you have to go on a little event to rescue something or bring something back to the tribe that is missing, and they can't do it because whoever took it is too powerful. But a party of adventurers can get it, and then but now you've made the goblin princess mad because you'd rather go risk life and limb than marry her, and then there's a life vendetta against one particular character from a goblin princess.
I love it. I imagine her looking like the female gremlin from Gremlins 2 a little bit. She'd be like, kind of dressed up with like a leopard,
Absolutely.
something.
So I actually have a miniature at the studio, a goblin bride miniature, and I use it. She comes out of her tent dressed up in a bride's outfit because she has claimed one of the party members as her intended because they helped her. And what's funny is the two goblins that were escorting her into the town that are sent back are thankful because one of them would have been chosen to marry her because of them helping her. It's how the goblin chief marries off his daughters. He's like, yes, who wishes to volunteer to help the princess take these goods into the town? And nobody raises their hands, and they get voluntold, and then one of them ends up having to marry her. So you got two goblin males that are like, thanks, you saved us.
Now, from what I know
And
about
they might come
goblins,
back.
that wedding dress has got to be booby trapped.
Oh, I would think so. Absolutely. Yeah, I think goblins are super fun as comic relief, but they can also be, if you play on the comic relief of a goblin in your story, you can obviously also make it where the party and players can get really comfortable with that comic relief. But goblins are goblins, and they're going to bite you eventually. They're going to, oh, I'm a goblin alchemist. I like to make explosions, and I'm going to explosion the party.
Like the boom boom sticks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you petitioning for a goblin bane now? Is this a callback?
It is a callback. Yeah. I just like that he says explosions. I want explosions. It's so funny. I do like Bane. He's a great villain. And if you can incorporate his silliness into your fantasy game, also great. Wow, it's 10 after 8 already.
Having some fun,
Getting
just
into
letting
it.
the time roll.
Yeah, yeah. So as we do, we should give a shout out to some of our sponsors here on Path of the Brush. A big shout out to Gen Con TV, obviously, like we said at the beginning, for allowing us to come on here every week and spew our insanity, our minds of madness, and share the joy of painting with all of you that are watching, or either now or that might come and watch us later. Also, to Mats by Mars, who makes these awesome paint mats for us, and showing off our mascot there, the the painting bear warrior with his spear brush, and also to Game Envy, or the Hobby Handle company that makes these hobby handles. I'd normally use them, but this is not the bigger one for this kind of miniature. And they also are the ones that make the brushes I'm using. And they make these collapsible paint cups, so you can, and it has little ridges in there, so you can agitate your brushes to clean them off between different paints or after using them, so that the paint doesn't dry on them. Uh, so yeah, and then again, thank you to Ultra Pro and Army Painter for all of their support that is allowing us to again bring the show to you all, and show off all the cool stuff that the Army Painter is doing. And if you didn't know, Ultra Pro is making this really cool product to protect your miniatures. It's called a character clamp, and it's a acrylic, uh, clear acrylic box that has a base that clamps onto the base of your miniature. It fits your standard like character size miniature, your like D&D character, 28 millimeter, and so yeah, it'll can be used just to keep it protected between play, or to use as a display box for your miniatures. And they stack really nice. It's a cool product. Go over to ultrapro.com and check them out if you are looking for another way to display your miniatures and keep them protected. Or if you travel and you're just like, I only carry my player character to the campaign, and I only need this one thing, and so they make that. You can go check it out. It's good stuff. We're going to have some at New York Comic Con for people that are going to be painting there, and I think it's going to be really, really good and cool for them. All right, I'm looking for a dark. There we go. Occultist Cloak. That's kind of a dark paint, because on the Wyvern, this particular Wyvern and all the ones, so they have these spines on down the back. It's got its poisonous tail spine here, and it's got little spines at the points, or claws at the points of its wings here. And I want to make those a darker, and its claws on its foot, just a darker color, because that kind of offset everything else going on. So yeah, super fun. Boop, boop. There we go. Occultist Cloak. They come up with some of the craziest names for these paints. I need to ask Adam from Army Painter who uh, comes up with these names. Is there just like a book that people write in, and then every once in a while they're like, "Ooh, yes, we're going to use that."
Seems like that'd be a great social media, like contest.
Yeah. Name the paint.
Name the paint. Do a short line of like 10 paints. That'd be
Yeah,
fun. So if anybody's
that would
listening,
be fun.
put in what you think would be a cool paint color for each one of these characters. That'd be great, right?
And you can't call it Painty McPaintface. That was a boat.
Was
Terrorizing
it?
troll. What
Well,
would you
these. Well, the troll needs a name. The Merilith needs a real name, right? Can't just be Megan or Mary the Merilith, or it could be, But if anybody has actual names you want to give them, like, or like even this particular wyvern, because I like giving them names to the creatures or characters that we're painting, because it helps
funny
flesh them out in my mind.
funny thing about
What's
living in
that?
Michigan, we have the UP, right? The upper and lower
We do.
peninsula, and there's a bridge between the two of us, right? And
Yeah,
so the Upers, or the people who live in the UP, they call everybody who lives below the bridge trolls.
a troll. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was literally born beneath the bridge in a town called Charlevoix.
Right.
So I'm a legit troll,
That's awesome.
and I'm proud of it. And then anybody that's in the lower peninsula that is from Mount Pleasant to the bridge calls anybody from Mount Pleasant to the border of Indiana, Ohio, Flatlanders.
All right, yeah.
At least when I was at least when I was growing up, that's what we called anybody that came from like Detroit and Lansing and Grand Rapids. They're like, "Ah, the Flatlanders are coming."
I like it.
And then we just don't talk about Ohio.
They've had enough problems.
All right.
We don't have to. We don't have
Yeah.
to kick them.
Right. We don't have to kick them while they're down, you know. Yeah, so the spines on the back of the wyvern I think are pretty cool. By putting that little bit of darker color on there, lets them pop out a little bit more, and just gives a little bit more flavor to the miniature. And then after I get done with this, and then I'm going to do the tongue, the teeth, and the eyes. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to do some dry brushing on it with another green, a different color green, um, to give it a little bit more pop off the miniature, and we'll see how that looks. So should be
No.
pretty cool, I think. Yeah.
See, we got this guy coming up. This behind him.
Which
All
guy?
right.
The troll? Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
so
see the troll there.
little highlights coming on him there. The top down.
Nice.
We need
Very
to do
cool.
we need to do black light, throwback to the 70s, but like black light or like, some of that glow in the dark paint, and then like at maybe an underdark or something, or it's some part of the campaign would be cool to like flip the lights off, but then like certain things would glow, phosphorescence or something like that.
Oh, that would be. Oh, yeah. So they do make some paints that are fluorescent paints
Uh-huh.
that when not in black light still look vibrant, but when
Okay.
when you do turn on the black light, they do pop off. I think that would be super cool if we did a something like that. That would flip some players out if they're playing in an underground event, and uh you see everybody got torches or whatever, or something comes through and all the torches go out, and even the people with the dark vision would get a little messed up, because if there's a natural fluorescent um, glow
Kind of
in the caverns, yeah, that would be super cool.
like when you go to the bowling alley and they do that once in the Rock and Bowl sometime. It'd be kind of neat to do. Maybe it's a Hoplite Games event. Who knows? Ooh.
Yeah, who knows? Look at you. Look at you. Creating opportunities left and right.
It's all about the opportunity, right?
It's all about the opportunities. All right. Yeah, for sure. And then also a big shout out to WizKids. We did mention, for providing the miniatures that I'm painting. And obviously you had some WizKids miniatures
Love
there at the house, but they were yours, I think, unless you snagged some from the studio. I don't know.
No, these are mine. So, giving some love to the kids.
Okay. So, and we can replace those at the studio. I have that troll, and I have more Mariliths at the studio.
It's all good. This guy
If
needed to
you
be
wanted
painted.
the replacement,
But yeah,
they
I'll take
did need to be painted.
right?
I don't know why they didn't. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So let that kind of set. I'm going to find a red. You know what? I'm not. I'm going to go with a blue. Why does the tongue have to always be red? I don't know why.
I did red tongue.
I'm going to do a blue. I'm going to do a blue, a Caribbean Ocean blue. Just an
Purple
odd.
tongue? Like a giraffe, maybe?
Purple tongues are great too. Oh God, freaking giraffes and their tongues. They freak me out.
Gotta quit hanging out at the zoo, Rick.
I do. I need to stop hanging out at the giraffe area at the zoo.
Just
because if
feeding
it
the
freaks me
giraffe.
out that much,
Free
ugh,
giraffe.
gross.
Have you ever, no matter what people think of zoos or not, have you ever ridden on, like, they have elephant rides or camel rides when you were a kid? Did anybody do that?
Never. No, those cost money.
So
That was not
I,
not a thing. My
so when I was in the Middle East, I rode some camels, and then when I was in when I was in India, not oddly because you can ride elephants all over India, but I was in India and I rode an elephant there when I was there.
That
So
sounds awesome.
I've actually ridden animals.
I did. I was lucky enough as a
They
kid.
they're
My brother
interesting.
and I did. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. You're saying your brother and you rode. What'd you ride? A camel or an elephant?
It was an elephant, and I remember I was little, right? So it was a twofer. You
Nice.
could do like two for one. But I remember it being like very coarse. They had very coarse hairs on them, which you wouldn't think elephants have hair, but they do,
Yeah.
right? But yeah,
Yep.
their
Yep.
hide is
Absolutely.
rough, and they're like the coarse hairs on. I remember being a little kid being like, it's kind of itchy, and that was my experience of riding this elephant, which was pretty cool. I'm sure there's a photo floating around
That
somewhere,
is
right?
super cool. Oh, that would be awesome. I'd love to see that. Do
Next
you
week we'll bring
have
out.
dreadlocks in those photos?
I used to have long hair though,
Well,
but no dread.
you
Oh.
did. I've seen pictures of you with long hair, and it is unsettling.
It is. There's too many Weird Al Yankovic, like comments that I like. One day I just like couldn't take it anymore, and you know, I had to just cut it. So that's what happened.
I think
Okay.
Rick, when you met me,
I'm
I had
no
hair.
offense to what's that?
I think when you met me, I still had long hair.
You
I just
did. You had very long hair. Yeah, but you were growing your long hair for a purpose, right?
yeah,
For
yeah.
the locks of love or whatever it is.
Wigs for kids. Yeah,
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, that was a great charity.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the first time, and always like I'm still lucky enough for my follicles to work. So why not?
Right. Yeah. Heck yeah. All right. So I'm putting just this gray on the stone that the wyvern is perched on here. This is where is it? This is that occultist cloak. I'm just using it on the stone. It's a really good gray black for the stone there.
I'm always looking for a good one of those.
Yeah, super cool. But so as I had mentioned at the beginning, and for anybody that's joining us here, where I'm coming live from location on in Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the Alliance Open House here, which is the Alliance is a distributor of games for the retail side, and I got to go because I'm opening a store called Hoplite Games, right? And we got to go shopping in the warehouse today, and the warehouse is monstrous, and we didn't get to see everything. It was ridiculous, but it was super fun getting to like just see the breadth of product that is available for board game for the industry. It's just ridiculous. It is crazy. All right, not that green, not that green, not that green. I'm just looking for another green to do a little dry brushing. I felt like I brought a non speed paint, just plain acrylic green with me. I may have not, and that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and do shamrock green and see if I can actually dry brush it, even though it's a speed paint. It's going to be, let's give it a shot and see what happens.
I worked so well on those cloaks last week.
It did, but I didn't use it as a dry brush. I used a different one for the dry brushing, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Because this, let's see here. 'Cause I just want it over like these arm areas, down some of these ridges. Not necessarily the entirety of the wing. Not really. It's not really doing what I want. That's okay. I may have to mix. I may have to mix it with some beige, that brain matter beige, to get it so it's not so much a speed paint, which is again more like a wash, really. Hey, what's up, Mac Daddy? It's the Mac Daddy, Daddy Mac. He was here last week, following up, coming back, saying hi. We appreciate you. Thank you. I'm gonna try this toxic mist. It's kind of it looks like a seafoam green, seafoam blue, but maybe a little bit of that. Oh, ugh. That's gonna shake it up. This is gonna look crazy.
I like your dance over there.
Thank you.
And if everything
I'm
is
gonna
looking
do a little
good,
mixing.
you can mix them. You could do shamrock brain matter.
Oh, shamrock brain matter.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's actually a good idea. Some shamrock brain matter. All right. I think I may have figured it out here. All right. I got way too much on here.
Story of our lives.
What's that? Yeah.
Story of our lives.
Story of our lives. Yeah, for sure. All right. Underneath here, let's try this. Just along these edges, a little bit in here. So what I did is I took that toxic mist and I mixed it with that shamrock green speed paint to give it more of like it actually kind of looks like the shamrock shake color from McDonald's.
Delicious. Let's get a close up of this.
So
Oh yeah.
here, it's right here.
Ooh.
This right here.
Minty.
Yeah, it's got a minty green
You just painted my
look to it. So we're just gonna.
The shamrock. Delicious.
I always did like that shamrock shake growing up. I don't know if I haven't had one in a long time. I bet you the formulation has changed and it probably doesn't taste as good
Not as
as
good.
as I remember.
It's a highway to the toilet. You know what I mean? That's what the shamrock shake.
I totally get it. Yeah. All right.
For the people that can't.
Then now that it's in my head, thank you. Great. But now it's all in my head and I got to think about it. All right. This actually isn't doing too bad as far as like giving it a little bit more of a highlight on those higher edges of that particular green. I don't know how well you can see it under there.
Yeah, we got a close up going.
But yeah, it actually doesn't look too bad in regards to giving it a little bit more depth and definition as opposed to just that straight shamrock or the actual shamrock green speed paint, which is that very green look. But now I think what I'm going to put on the other side here is I pulled out, now that's that brownish decay, that was too dark. But I pulled out this bony matter, and I think I'm going to mix that with that beige and see what happens. And I think that might be a win for give it a little bit more woodsy because I didn't bring a lot of just straight acrylics. I brought just a bunch of speed paints. So we got to do some mad scientist stuff here. A little mixy mix. Yeah. Isn't looking too bad either. Well, well, well. Okay. And then we're going to do a little dry brush action. And just over those ridges. And edges. Like if it was like a dried leaf, how a dried leaf might still be holding some good color in the inside, but the edges of the leaf might be a little dried and cracked and showing its browning and stuff. That's kind of what I'm going for.
Perfect for the autumn weather coming.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite types of weather. I do like the autumn. It goes fall, winter, spring, summer. That's the order of my preferred seasons.
It did get hot as Hades here past couple days. That's for sure.
Oh my God, it has. It's been ridiculous. All right. There we go. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think at 3 feet away, that right there is going to be a fun miniature to table to bring the fear of the wyvern to all the players out there. And then just a little upstroke on these here. And then final bit, we're almost done. Final bit is going to be our wyvern's teeth and eyes. And this agent of chaos will be ready to go, which he absolutely is an agent of chaos. And his name is Eugene. This is Eugene the Wyvern.
I was wondering if we were doing alliteration still.
Oh, if I were going to do an alliteration on his name or her name, it could be Winona the Wyvern or Wyatt, like Wyatt Earp. It's
Like a
where
Tombstone Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, like Tombstone Wyatt Earp.
It's a great movie. Good reference.
For sure. I agree. Great movie.
Yeah, it's got.
I'm your Huckleberry. It does. He is Johnny Ringo. Well, this is Johnny Ringo. It would appear he's a learned man. That's Latin, darling. So good. All right. So we got. We'll go with Winona the Wyvern, and Winona is also an Earp. So Winona Earp the Wyvern, and this is, as for those watching, as you can tell if you're just now tuning in, the Wyvern normally would be like a woody brown based on what the artwork and the monster manual is, but I like making my wyverns more apex predator to their environment. So this is a forest wyvern who can camouflage himself into the canopy of the trees and drop down on unaware adventurers, unsuspecting prey. And they're not there to attack the adventurers, they're there to get food. They want that pack mule, they want that donkey, they want that horse. they want the dried meats that are being pulled in a wagon between one town to another. And if it's easy targets, they're gonna utilize their hunting skills to grab and go. So that's what I like about the wyverns is they actually can be very diverse creatures and used in different ways in any campaign. And this particular one that is one of the WizKids wyverns is just a great. It's just a great miniature, and it just shows so many different options of how you could make it a creature that could hide in different areas. Like again, earlier in the program, for those of you that are just tuning in, the way the head is shaped, it could submerge itself in water, either in the ocean, along the ocean front, or in swampy areas or rivers or lakes, and kind of look like a crocodile, right? When it rises up, it could make itself look like a serpent or a dragon. If it only showed its neck up, it kind of gives off a little bit of a dragon appearance. And then just based on the wings and the different colors you could use, like again, this is a forest wyvern. I had another one. I wasn't sure how fast I was going to be able to do one of these, but I brought another one, and I was going to make that one a mountain wyvern that would be more gray tones, so that it would blend into like the side of a mountain or cliff face, and it would drop off the cliff face down on unsuspecting prey beneath it, or a swamp wyvern, or a desert wyvern that hides in the sand dunes. So it'd be more a sandy brown, different colors to kind of let it blend into a sand dune, kind of like a trap spider. And just burst out of the dune, again at unsuspecting prey. Not so much again attacking for malice reasons. They're dumb animals looking for food, and so that's how would use them in a campaign. And they're really cool. I think wyverns are just a great creature and absolutely fun um, to throw at adventurers to see what they will do. And I feel like wyverns will run if they're going to be in a conflict. They want to grab the food and go, and so they're not going to stick around and fight to the death, because it's not about that for them. It's about food, survive, move on, breed, make more wyverns, eat. So, all right, I think that pretty much brings us to the end for us. We're going to cut a little early because of I know my camera is just not doing great. So, and it can be a distractor. But I want to thank Will and Mark back at the homestead, producing this from the background. Let's see their miniatures. Show off that troll real quick, Mark. Very cool. I love the hair, and that purple is great.
Put little beads
So
in them
good.
He's got those little yellow
Yeah, I
poppy,
mean,
like little zits on his back or whatever. So that
nice.
was really good.
Yeah, it's
It was red.
awesome. I love it. And then Will, you were working on a Marilith, is that right?
Yeah, this
Let's
is
see that. That looks. Oh my God.
Michelle, the muscle mommy
Oh, that
Marilith.
looks so good. Muscle Mommy Marilith, the 10 years in a row winner of the hugging competition.
Yeah.
It's super cool. All right. So for everybody watching now, or might come back and watch it later, we appreciate everybody that joins us here. If you aren't doing it already, hit that bell, hit that heart, follow the channel. If you aren't using your Amazon Prime free subscription, because if you have Amazon Prime and you're not using it, you can subscribe to Gen Con TV, and it's just part of your Amazon Prime thing. It's not extra, but it does support the channel and allows Gen Con TV to bring not just Path of the Brush, but all the amazing shows that are on the platform to the audience that loves gaming, painting, insider intel on the industry of tabletop. There's so many good programs, and just the live play RPG stuff, Actoroki, everything that like Rem Alternus is doing, and all the other content creators and contributors to the channel. So please give us a follow, give us a like, and subscribe if you can. We really appreciate it. So until next week, I'm Rick, host of Path of the Brush. And if you can, avoid licking and eating paint. It's just not good for you.